Sarah Martinez had always been methodical about her Tuesday evening routine. After 10 hours of managing inventory at the medical supply warehouse, she drove directly to Mountain View shooting range, changed into her worn jeans and faded Marines t-shirt, and claimed Lane 7. Always Lane 7. The familiar weight of her Glock 19 felt reassuring as she loaded the magazine with practiced efficiency. The range buzzed with its usual evening crowd. Retired cops working on their certifications, weekend warriors preparing for hunting season, and competitive shooters fine-tuning their techniques. Sarah appreciated the focused atmosphere where conversation happened in nods and shared understanding rather than small talk. She had discovered this sanctuary 3 years ago when sleepless nights became too frequent, and her doctor suggested finding a healthy outlet for stress. What began as therapy had evolved into genuine skill. Sarah's groups had tightened considerably since those early days when she could barely keep rounds on the paper. Now she consistently placed shots within the 8 ring at 25 yards, respectable accuracy that earned subtle recognition from the range regulars. Her father, a Vietnam veteran who taught her to shoot as a teenager, would have been proud of her progress. Tonight felt different somehow. Sarah noticed increased activity near the range office, and several men in civilian clothes moved with the unmistakable bearing of active military. Their posture, the way they scanned their environment, and their quiet confidence marked them as operators rather than ordinary servicemen. She had grown up around military bases and could spot the difference immediately. As Sarah stapled a fresh target to the carrier and sent it downrange to 15 yards, she became aware of someone observing her shooting. The sensation of being watched was subtle but persistent. During a ceasefire to change targets, she glanced sideways and caught sight of a tall man with close-cropped brown hair standing behind the firing line. He wore civilian clothes, but his stance and focused attention suggested professional interest rather than casual observation. Sarah resumed her shooting routine, firing slow, deliberate shots at the center of the target. Her technique emphasized consistency over speed, each trigger press following the same sequence: sight alignment, breath control, steady squeeze. The meditation of marksmanship helped clear her mind of workplace frustrations and daily stresses. 20 rounds later, she called for another ceasefire to examine her results. The stranger approached during the break, moving with confident but respectful body language. Up close, Sarah could see he was probably in his early 30s, with intelligent gray eyes and the weathered hands of someone who spent significant time outdoors. His casual smile seemed genuine rather than predatory, which immediately put her at ease. "Excuse me," he said, his voice carrying a slight southern accent. "I hope you don't mind me saying, but I've been watching your technique. That's some solid shooting. You have formal training?" Sarah felt a flutter of pride mixed with curiosity. Compliments from strangers at the range were rare and usually came from people whose opinion she valued. Some military background in my family, but mostly self-taught through classes here. I've been coming regularly for about 3 years. It shows. Your fundamentals are excellent, and your group consistency is impressive. Mind if I ask what your background is? You shoot like someone with more experience than 3 years suggests. Something in his tone indicated this was more than casual conversation. Sarah studied his face, noting the subtle confidence that came from extensive training and real-world application. "I work in medical supply, but I grew up around firearms. My father was career military Marines. He started teaching me when I was 16, but life got complicated after high school. Only got back into it recently." The man nodded with understanding that suggested personal experience with complicated life paths. "Marines teach solid fundamentals. Your father did good work with you. I'm Marcus, by the way. Marcus Chun. Sarah Martinez. Nice to meet you." She shook his offered hand, noting the firm grip and callous palm that confirmed her suspicions about his background. "Sarah, I'm going to be direct because I think you can handle it. I'm here with some teammates for advanced training, and we've been evaluating civilian shooters who might be interested in specialized instruction. Your shooting caught our attention because it demonstrates natural aptitude that could be developed significantly with the right training. Sarah felt her heart rate increase slightly. This conversation was heading somewhere unexpected, and she sensed it could be important. What kind of specialized instruction are we talking about? Marcus glanced around the range, then back to her with serious expression. The kind that takes natural talent and develops it into professional-level capability. We're looking for people with the right combination of skill, temperament, and dedication who might be interested in consulting opportunities. Nothing illegal or dangerous, but specialized security work that requires precision shooting skills. The offer hung in the air between them, loaded with implications Sarah was still processing. She had always wondered if her shooting abilities could lead to something more meaningful than stress relief. Her current job paid the bills, but offered little satisfaction or growth potential. The idea of using her skills for something more significant was both thrilling and terrifying. I'm intrigued, Sarah admitted carefully, but I need to understand more about what this consulting work involves. I'm not looking to join the military or put myself in harm's way unnecessarily. Marcus smiled, apparently pleased by her measured response. That's exactly the kind of mature thinking we're looking for. Nothing we do puts civilians in direct danger, but it does require people who can perform under pressure and maintain absolute reliability. Would you be willing to demonstrate your shooting under different conditions? Not a test exactly, but a better assessment of your current capabilities? Sarah considered the proposition while mechanically checking her pistol and ensuring the chamber was empty. Her instincts told her this was a legitimate opportunity, but her practical nature demanded more information before committing to anything. The idea of turning her hobby into professional skill was appealing, but she needed to understand the full scope of what was being offered. What would this demonstration involve? She asked finally. Nothing too dramatic tonight. Just some shooting under time pressure, maybe different positions, using different equipment. My teammates are setting up some scenarios in the adjacent bay that would give us a better sense of your adaptability and learning curve. Sarah looked toward the bay Marcus indicated and saw two other men arranging equipment and targets and configurations more complex than standard marksmanship practice. The setups looked professional and challenging, designed to test multiple skills simultaneously rather than just accuracy. All right, she decided. I'm willing to try it, but I want to understand what I'm getting into before we go any further than tonight. Absolutely fair. And Sarah, whatever happens tonight, you're under no obligation to pursue this further. This is just an opportunity to see what you're capable of and whether our kind of work might interest you. As they walked toward the adjacent bay, Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness she hadn't experienced since her first job interview. The familiar environment of the shooting range suddenly felt charged with new possibilities, and she wondered if this chance encounter might change the trajectory of her life in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Marcus introduced Sarah to his teammates with professional courtesy that immediately established the serious nature of their work. Jake Williams, a compact man with prematurely gray hair and steady hands, managed their equipment and logistics. David Rodriguez possessed the lean build and alert eyes of someone accustomed to high-stress situations. Both men greeted Sarah with respectful attention that made her feel evaluated but not judged. We've set up some basic scenarios, Jake explained, gesturing toward the modified shooting bay. Nothing too complex, but different from standard target practice. These exercises test adaptability, decision-making under pressure, and technical precision simultaneously. The bay had been transformed into something resembling a tactical training course. Multiple targets at varying distances were positioned behind partial cover, requiring shooters to engage from different positions and angles. A shot timer sat on the bench alongside several magazines loaded with different ammunition types. Sarah noticed the setup emphasized practical shooting skills rather than pure marksmanship. The first exercise is simple, David said, his voice carrying the calm authority of an experienced instructor. 6 targets at distances from 7 to 20 yards. All must be engaged with 2 shots, each within 30 seconds. You'll start with your pistol holstered, and targets will be revealed randomly as you progress through the course. Sarah studied the layout, mentally calculating angles and movement patterns. The challenge wasn't just accuracy, but efficient movement and target prioritization. She had never attempted anything this complex, but the fundamental skills seemed within her capabilities. Any questions before we begin? Marcus asked, "What happens if I miss the time limit or make mistakes?" "Nothing happens," Jake replied with a slight smile. "This isn't pass-fail. We're evaluating how you handle unfamiliar challenges and whether you have the mental flexibility for advanced training. Some people freeze under time pressure, others adapt naturally. We're just seeing which category you fall into." Sarah nodded and moved to the starting position, checking her holster and ensuring her magazine was properly seated. The familiar pre-shooting routine helped calm her nerves and focus her attention. She had learned that consistent preparation routines were crucial for reliable performance. "Ready when you are," David announced, finger poised over the timer. The electronic beep started the exercise, and Sarah drew her pistol with smooth motion that surprised even her. The first target appeared immediately to her left, and she engaged it with 2 quick shots before pivoting to address the next threat. The timer's ticking seemed louder than usual, but she forced herself to maintain steady rhythm rather than rushing. Movement between positions felt natural despite the unfamiliar course layout. Sarah's muscle memory from countless hours of practice guided her stance and grip while her mind processed the tactical elements. The third and fourth targets required shooting from behind cover, forcing her to expose minimal body area while maintaining accuracy. With 10 seconds remaining, Sarah engaged the final 2 targets at maximum distance. These shots required more precision than the closer engagements, but she trusted her fundamentals and took the extra fraction of a second needed for proper sight alignment. The timer's final beep came just as her last shot broke. 28.3 seconds, David called out. "Let's check your hits." They walked the course together, examining each target. Sarah had placed 11 of 12 shots in scoring zones, with only 1 round slightly outside the acceptable area on the furthest target. The results exceeded her own expectations and clearly impressed her evaluators. "Outstanding work," Marcus said, genuine approval in his voice. "Most people shoot much faster on their first attempt and miss half their targets. You maintained your accuracy while adapting to time pressure. That's a rare combination." Sarah felt a surge of satisfaction mixed with curiosity about what additional challenges they might present. "What's next?" Jake produced a different pistol from their equipment case, a Sig Sauer P226 with tactical light and modified trigger. Same course of fire, but with unfamiliar equipment. This tests your ability to adapt to different tools while maintaining performance standards. The weight distribution of a new pistol felt different in Sarah's hands, and the trigger had a crisper break than her familiar Glock. She spent several minutes dry firing and getting acquainted with the weapon's characteristics before declaring herself ready for the second run. This attempt proved more challenging as the unfamiliar pistol required conscious adjustment to her shooting technique. Sarah completed the course in 31 seconds with 10 of 12 shots in scoring zones. While not quite matching her first performance, the results demonstrated adaptability that clearly pleased her evaluators. "Excellent adaptation," David observed. "Many experienced shooters struggle more than that when switching platforms. You're adjusting your technique rather than fighting the equipment." The third exercise introduced low-light conditions using the range's adjustable lighting system. Shooting in dim conditions required different visual techniques and increased reliance on the pistol's tritium sights. Sarah found this challenge more difficult, but managed to complete it successfully within the time limit. Between exercises, the team discussed technique and offered suggestions for improvement. Their feedback was specific and actionable, delivered with the professional competence of people who had trained many students. Sarah appreciated their teaching approach, which emphasized understanding principles rather than memorizing techniques. One final test, Marcus announced, producing a rifle case from their equipment. This is more advanced than what we normally ask, but your performance suggests you can handle it. Inside the case lay a precision rifle with telescopic scope, bipod, and match-grade ammunition. Sarah had never fired anything similar, but the weapon's quality was immediately apparent. This was professional equipment worth more than her annual car payments. 100-yard target, 5 shots, no time limit, Jake explained. This tests your ability to learn completely new skills under observation. We'll provide basic instruction, but mostly we want to see how you process new information and adapt your technique. Sarah accepted the challenge despite significant nervousness. Long-range precision shooting required different skills than pistol work, and she would be attempting it with no prior experience. However, her evaluator's confidence encouraged her to trust in her fundamental marksmanship abilities. David provided a brief tutorial on rifle shooting technique, covering position, breathing, trigger control, and scope usage. The instruction was concise but thorough, delivered by someone clearly experienced in training new shooters quickly and effectively. Sarah's first shot missed the target completely, sailing high and due to unfamiliarity with the scope and misjudged wind conditions. Her second attempt struck the outer rings, and subsequent shots moved progressively closer to center as she adapted to the equipment. Her final shot landed within the 8 ring, a respectable achievement for a first attempt with precision rifle. Remarkable learning curve, Marcus commented as they examined the target. Most people take considerably longer to achieve that level of accuracy with unfamiliar equipment. You have natural ability combined with the intelligence to make rapid adjustments. As they packed the equipment, Sarah felt exhausted but exhilarated. The evening had challenged her in ways she hadn't anticipated and revealed capabilities she didn't know she possessed. More importantly, it had introduced her to people whose professional competence and character impressed her significantly. "So what happens now?" she asked as they prepared to leave the range. "Now we talk about whether you're interested in learning more," Marcus replied. "What we've seen tonight confirms our initial assessment. You have the natural ability and temperament for specialized training. The question is whether this kind of work appeals to you." Sarah looked around the familiar shooting range, considering how dramatically her Tuesday evening routine had been disrupted. The possibility of turning her hobby into something more meaningful was both exciting and intimidating, but she knew she wanted to understand what these men were offering. The conversation moved to a quiet corner of the range's classroom area, where Marcus spread several documents across the table while Jake and David positioned themselves to ensure privacy. The materials included photographs, technical specifications, and what appeared to be training curricula, all bearing the discreet logo of a company Sarah didn't recognize. "Before we go further, I need to explain who we work for and what we do," Marcus began, his tone shifting to formal professionalism. "We're contractors for Aegis Strategic Solutions, a security consulting firm that provides specialized services to government agencies, corporations, and high-net-worth individuals. Our work ranges from threat assessment to protective details, but always focuses on prevention rather than engagement." Sarah studied the company information, noting the impressive client list and professional certifications. Aegis appeared legitimate and well-established, with offices in major cities and contracts spanning both domestic and international markets. The scope of their operations was broader than she had imagined. "My specific role involves training and evaluation," Marcus continued. "We identify individuals with exceptional potential and provide advanced instruction that qualifies them for consulting positions. The work pays significantly better than most civilian careers, but it requires absolute reliability and continuous skill development." David opened a laptop and showed Sarah video footage of training exercises conducted at professional facilities. The scenarios were more complex than anything she had attempted, involving multiple targets, moving platforms, and environmental challenges. Yet the fundamental skills appeared to be extensions of what she had demonstrated that evening. "This is our standard curriculum for precision marksman consultants," David explained. 6 months of intensive training covering long-range shooting, tactical applications, equipment maintenance, and operational procedures. Graduates typically earn between 80 and 120,000 annually, depending on assignment frequency and specialization level. The salary figures caught Sarah's attention immediately. Her current warehouse job provided less than $30,000 per year with minimal benefits and no advancement potential. The opportunity to triple her income while developing skills she genuinely enjoyed seemed almost too good to be true. "What's the catch?" she asked directly. "This sounds like an incredible opportunity, but there has to be significant challenges or risks involved." Jake appreciated her skepticism and responded with equal directness. "The training is demanding both physically and mentally. About 30% of candidates don't complete the program, usually due to performance standards rather than academic failure. The work itself requires travel, irregular schedules, and absolute discretion about client information." Additionally, Marcus added, "Once you're certified and working, you're expected to maintain peak performance levels continuously. Annual recertification is mandatory, and any decline in capabilities can result in contract termination. This isn't a job you can coast through once you're established." Sarah absorbed this information while considering the implications for her current life. Her apartment lease would expire in 3 months, and she had no significant personal relationships that would be disrupted by career changes. The timing seemed almost providential, assuming the opportunity was legitimate. "Where does the training take place?" she asked. "Primary facility is in Colorado, outside Denver," David replied. "Residential program with housing and meals provided. You need to resign from your current position and commit fully to the training schedule. No part-time or weekend options due to the intensive nature of the curriculum." The requirement to quit her job before training created significant financial risk, but Sarah recognized that serious opportunities often demanded serious commitment. She had saved enough money to survive several months without income, though depleting her savings was concerning. "Can I speak with someone who's completed this program? Someone who can describe the experience and current work conditions?" Marcus nodded approvingly. "Absolutely. We encourage prospective candidates to gather complete information before making decisions. I can arrange calls with several graduates in different specializations. Would you like references from people working domestic assignments, international contracts, or both?" "Both, if possible. I want to understand the full range of what this career involves." Jake produced a tablet and began scheduling contact sessions with previous trainees. "We can arrange calls this week with 3 graduates, one working corporate security in New York, one doing diplomatic protection overseas, and one specializing in training and evaluation like Marcus. Each represents different career paths within our organization." The professional approach to her questions increased Sarah's confidence in the legitimacy of the opportunity. Legitimate companies welcomed scrutiny and provided references readily, while questionable operations typically pressured candidates to decide quickly without adequate information. "Assuming the references check out and I decide to proceed, what's the timeline?" Sarah asked. "Next training cohort begins in 6 weeks," Marcus replied. "We're currently evaluating final candidates for that group. If you're selected and choose to participate, you need to relocate to Colorado by mid-next month." 6 weeks seemed simultaneously too soon and not soon enough. Sarah felt excited about the possibility of dramatic career advancement, but nervous about abandoning the security of steady employment for uncertain prospects. The financial risk was significant, even with her savings cushion. "I need time to consider this properly," she said finally. "The opportunity is incredible, but I want to speak with your references and evaluate all aspects before making such a major life change." "Completely understandable," Marcus assured her. "Take whatever time you need to make an informed decision. This isn't the kind of choice anyone should rush into without careful consideration." David handed her a business card with contact information and a secure email address. When you're ready to proceed with reference calls, just send a message to that address. Include your preferred times, and we'll coordinate schedules with our graduates. As they gathered their materials, Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension about the evening's developments. Her routine Tuesday range session had unexpectedly opened doors to possibilities she had never seriously considered. The prospect of transforming her shooting hobby into a lucrative career was thrilling, but the risks and requirements demanded careful evaluation. One final question, Sarah said as they prepared to leave. How did you identify me specifically? There are dozens of shooters here regularly with similar or better skills. Marcus smiled at the perceptive question. We've been evaluating shooters at several ranges over the past month, looking for specific combinations of technical ability, learning adaptability, and psychological temperament. Your shooting demonstrated good fundamentals, but what really caught our attention was how you approached each challenge tonight. You assessed each situation methodically, adapted your technique based on feedback, and maintained composure under pressure, Jake added. Those characteristics are more valuable than pure marksmanship ability because technique can be taught, but temperament is largely inherent. Plus, David concluded, you ask intelligent questions and think critically about new information rather than accepting everything at face value. That level of analytical thinking is essential for the work we do. Sarah appreciated their explanation and felt validated in her cautious approach to their offer. The fact that they valued her questions and methodical evaluation suggested these were people she could trust with important career decisions. Walking to her car after they departed, Sarah reflected on how dramatically her evening had evolved from routine target practice to potential life transformation. The opportunity seemed legitimate and attractive, but she knew that proper evaluation of the references and careful consideration of all factors would be crucial for making the right decision. Her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Sarah, this is Marcus. Thanks for your time tonight. Looking forward to hearing from you after you've had time to consider everything. No pressure, just genuine hope that this opportunity might be right for you. The personal touch reinforced her positive impression of the team and their professional approach. As she drove home, Sarah began mentally preparing for the reference conversations that would help determine whether this unexpected opportunity represented the career breakthrough she had been unconsciously seeking. Sarah spent the following week conducting thorough research that confirmed her initial positive impression of the opportunity. The reference calls with Aegis graduates provided detailed insights into both the training program and subsequent career experiences. Jennifer Walsh, working corporate security in Manhattan, described challenging but rewarding assignments protecting executives during high-risk business travel. Michael Torres, stationed in Eastern Europe for diplomatic protection, emphasized the professional growth and financial benefits that had allowed him to purchase his first home and support his family comfortably. Most valuable was her conversation with Lisa Chun, Marcus's former training partner, who now specialized in instruction and evaluation. Lisa provided honest assessment of the program's demands, describing 18-hour training days, rigorous physical conditioning, and comprehensive technical education that pushed every candidate to their limits. She also confirmed that successful graduates found meaningful work with excellent compensation and opportunities for advancement. The hardest part isn't the shooting, Lisa explained during their video call. The technical skills come with practice and good instruction. What challenges most people is the mental pressure of performing consistently under stress while managing complex variables simultaneously. You have to think clearly when your heart rate is elevated and everything is happening quickly. Sarah's background research on Aegis Strategic Solutions revealed an established company with solid reputation in the private security industry. Their client testimonials, financial stability, and professional certifications all supported the legitimacy of the opportunity. More importantly, she found no negative reviews or concerning reports about their training programs or employment practices. The decision became clear during a particularly frustrating day at the warehouse when her supervisor criticized her initiative in reorganizing the inventory system to improve efficiency. Sarah realized she had outgrown her current role months ago, but had been too comfortable with routine to seek advancement. The Aegis opportunity represented exactly the kind of challenge and growth she needed. Her resignation letter was professional but definitive, requesting 2 weeks' notice to ensure proper transition of her responsibilities. Her supervisor accepted the resignation with minimal discussion, apparently unsurprised that someone with Sarah's capabilities would seek better opportunities elsewhere. The apartment situation resolved itself when her landlord mentioned plans to renovate the building, making lease termination mutually beneficial. Sarah arranged to store her belongings with her cousin while attending training, eliminating the financial burden of maintaining housing during the 6-month program. 3 weeks before departure for Colorado, Sarah intensified her physical conditioning and shooting practice to prepare for the demanding training schedule. Her range sessions expanded to include exercises similar to those Marcus had demonstrated, challenging herself with time pressure, movement, and unfamiliar shooting positions. The additional practice built confidence and confirmed her commitment to succeeding in the program. The send-off from her shooting range friends was unexpectedly emotional. Regular shooters who had shared lanes and offered quiet encouragement over the years expressed genuine pride in her opportunity. Range Master Bill Peterson, a retired police officer who had watched Sarah develop from nervous beginner to accomplished marksman, presented her with a custom shooting jacket bearing her name and the range logo. "You've got natural talent, but more importantly, you've got the discipline to develop it properly," Bill told her during the informal ceremony. "That combination will take you as far as you want to go in this business. Make us proud." The flight to Denver marked the beginning of Sarah's transformation from warehouse employee to security professional. Sitting in the cramped airline seat, reviewing training materials Marcus had sent, she felt nervous excitement about the challenges ahead. The other candidates in her training cohort included former military personnel, competitive shooters, and career changers like herself, all united by exceptional marksmanship ability and determination to succeed. The Aegis training facility exceeded Sarah's expectations with its professional atmosphere and comprehensive resources. The campus featured multiple shooting ranges, tactical training areas, classroom facilities, and residential quarters that rivaled quality hotels. Instructors included former special operations personnel, competitive champions, and experienced security professionals who brought real-world expertise to every lesson. Sarah's roommate was Amanda Rodriguez, a former Army medic seeking to transition her military experience into private security consulting. Their backgrounds complemented each other perfectly, with Amanda's tactical knowledge balancing Sarah's precision shooting skills. The partnership that developed during training would prove valuable throughout their careers. The first month of training focused on fundamental skill development, expanding basic marksmanship into precision shooting at extended ranges. Sarah discovered capabilities she hadn't known she possessed, consistently placing shots at distances that had seemed impossible months earlier. Her natural steady hand and analytical approach to problem-solving proved perfectly suited to long-range precision work. Advanced training phases introduced tactical applications, equipment maintenance, threat assessment, and client interaction protocols. Sarah particularly excelled at the analytical components, demonstrating ability to evaluate complex security situations and develop effective protective strategies. Her instructors noted that she possessed the rare combination of technical precision and strategic thinking essential for senior consulting roles. The graduation ceremony 6 months later represented the culmination of the most challenging and rewarding period of Sarah's life. She had lost 15 pounds, gained significant muscle mass, and developed shooting abilities that placed her among the top 5% of security professionals. More importantly, she had discovered confidence and capabilities that would serve her throughout her career. Marcus attended the ceremony as a guest instructor, clearly pleased to see Sarah's successful completion of the program. "I knew you had the potential when I first watched you shoot," he told her during the celebration dinner. "What impressed me most wasn't your accuracy. It was your approach to learning and improvement. That attitude has taken you exactly where I thought it would. Sarah's first assignment involved providing security consultation for a technology executive during international business travel. The work required 2 weeks in Southeast Asia, coordinating with local security services while maintaining protective coverage during high-profile meetings. Her performance earned excellent client feedback and established her reputation within Aegis as a reliable and capable professional. 12 months after that memorable Tuesday evening at Mountain View shooting range, Sarah reflected on the dramatic changes in her life while preparing for another assignment. Her annual income had increased fourfold, her skills had developed beyond anything she had imagined possible, and her work provided satisfaction that her warehouse job never could have offered. The shooting range that started it all remained an important part of her routine during breaks between assignments. Range Master Bill always greeted her return with pride and curiosity about her latest experiences. Her story had become inspiration for other recreational shooters, wondering if their hobby might lead to career opportunities. Most significantly, Sarah had discovered that taking calculated risks on worthwhile opportunities could transform ordinary lives into extraordinary careers. The evening when a Navy SEAL handed her his weapon and stepped aside had opened doors she hadn't known existed, leading to professional success that exceeded her most ambitious dreams. Standing at Lane 7 during her recent visit home, firing the same Glock 19 that had started her journey, Sarah smiled at how far she had traveled from that routine Tuesday evening. Sometimes the most important moments in life arrived disguised as ordinary encounters, requiring only the courage to recognize opportunity when it presented itself.